Take two. The results of shooting an arrow through plywood. It peeled that sinew right off there, but that's okay. The shaft is good. It's a shoot. It's not split or anything, so it's tough. It's tough as Jack the Bear. This video has to do with a person, a watcher of mine, who, by the way, SS Rhythm, making a beautiful Osage bow, sinew-backed, is going to put snake skin over it. And what I saw in his videos, doing a wonderful job. Yeah. Now, I've thought about, and this question that SS Rhythm raised really reinforces my idea that my second book should really be about mining all my questions that were posed to me in my videos, just going through, you know, however many years I've been on YouTube, picking out these questions and arranging them, you know, wood types, and I brought this up, sinew backing. But this, exactly, it's stuff that you don't necessarily find in books. It's stuff that you find by asking around through experience, and you just don't find it anywhere. I don't think I've seen this on YouTube. Now to break the silence of what this question is about. His Osage bow, it's going to be sinew-backed. It's going to use tight bond 3 to put the snake skin on. You know, that's not what I would do for my bow because I don't live in a humid area. He does. Aha. His question was, he has read in the traditional Boyer's Bibles and seen in various YouTube videos that people do not recommend putting a grease or a wax over sinew. And he was wondering about moisture protection. I can't speak for other people, but the reason why I rarely put grease or wax on a sinew-backed bow that I'm just fiddling around with and may ultimately sell is that you cannot repair the sinew afterwards. When you introduce grease into that system, you cannot repair the sinew again because it's going to, maybe you can, but it would be a big pain. It's going to inhibit the ability for hide glue then to be laid on it and stick good and, you know, more sinew. So that's probably the reason why people don't recommend it. If you live in an area that's not super humid, if you're in Arizona or New Mexico or Colorado or Utah or something like that, you don't even need to put anything on your sinew. You really don't. If you're caught in a rainstorm, you know, just let it dry out. But usually it's dry enough. And the climates where sinew backing was big that you don't need to put anything on it. You could if you want. If you have that bow and it works for a while and you deem that you don't need to repair it ever again, it's good as it is. You know, you could put some grease on it and that would give it some moisture protection. So that is probably why people don't recommend grease or wax on sinew. Now, the vapor barriers. There are people that use sinew-backed bows because it's a wonderful substance in states that weren't historically sinew areas. South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and stuff like that. You know, Louisiana. You have to do special things to make that sinew a viable helper in your bow endeavors. Huh. Got out of that trap, linguistic trap. Ryan Gill, I believe it was Ryan Gill, lives in Florida. I think I'm accurate in this. He did an article in the Primitive Archer magazine where he took a hickory bow, and hickory isn't really a humid, loving kind of wood, and sinew-backed it, lives in Florida, and it worked out well because he actually glued the sinew on with tight bond 3, which creates a material that has the benefits of sinew, but it is resistant to water. Is there anything more resistant than resistant? You could dunk it and it's not going to affect it because tight bond 3 is totally waterproof. And so that's an option. Now, SS Rhythm, again, said that he was going to, well, let me back up. If you live in a humid area, experiment. You don't have to take a whole bow and figure out how to glue sinew on with tight bond, to stretch it out, to soak it and stretch it out so it'll be viable, and then glue it on with tight bond 3. You know, just experiment. That's what you need to do, is figure out how to, like, glue sinew on with tight bond 3, I think, if you're in a super humid area. But the tight bond 3 that he's going to use to glue on the snake skin, he's going to smear it all over the glue. He's basically going to finish that sinew with tight bond 3. He's just created a waterproof barrier. So SS, you're probably okay right there. So you glue it on the snake skin with tight bond 3. You put bear grease on the snakeskin to make it sheen and look pretty. I think you're good. I think you're good. Now, to carry on with this, Mr. Rhythm, sorry, I don't know your name, um, didn't want to use a urethane or a polyurethane. I can understand that. He wanted to go with maybe a natural oil like True Oil or, you know, True Oil he mentioned, and then kind of buffing it with pumice just to take the sheen off and make it matte. It sounds like a good technique. Now, I have talked to various bow makers, premier bow makers around the country that do sinew backing in the Pacific Northwest, Mike Yancey in Arkansas, other people, just cold calling them. Hey, you know, my name's John, I make bows, I do sinew back bows. And I'm curious, what is the best finish to put on sinew? Some of them use shellac. I don't know if that would be the best. You know, it might work, but it seems like it's so brittle you'll get micro cracks that will allow water to penetrate. But who am I to judge? The others have told me that if you use a True Oil or a boiled linseed oil or another natural oil, in a humid environment, that's food for mold and mildew. That's something to think about. If it's going to be like damp, I'm just saying it's a possibility. You know, you may have had different results, but it's a possibility that those little entities are going to chew on your bow and live off of it if you have a natural oil, because there are microbes and such and whatnot that can live on that stuff. Mike Yancey, for example, as did several others I talked to, used not Helmsman spar urethane varnish. That's mine because it doesn't smear dye, and I use dyes in my paint schemes and stuff. They use Minwax's Ultimate Floor Finish over the sinew. It will stay over time because the true oils and stuff can also get brittle over time, allowing micro cracks, allowing moisture to enter. The urethanes and polyurethanes, the fake stuff, the modern space age, they stay flexible, which is important, you know, in the area. So some things to consider. I have spoken enough. Hopefully I've answered the questions. Have a good day, and thank you for watching.